Hi everyone, so this is Sabis here. Thought we could do a bit of maths and I thought this week we could focus on fractions. So our learning question is, can I recognise and name fractions of a quantity? So by the end of this short lesson, you will know what a half is. You'll be able to find half of a set of objects. You might be able to find a quarter of a set of objects, and then you'll be able to solve real life problems using halves and quarters. So let's have a quick recap. How would we find half of a shape? So you can have a little bit of a think, see if you remember the answer. Half means to share something, and it might be a shape, a set of objects, or an amount, into two equal parts. So half is into two equal parts. Now here I have shared three different shapes in half. Which of these shapes have exactly half shaded? Maybe pause the video and just have a talk about it with a parent or a carer or somebody that is at home, and then you can have a look again and decide. So this shape here, we can see it is a square. It has four smaller squares inside. I have halved this shape exactly down the middle. So both sides are the same, both sides are equal. And if we added them together, we would have two halves, and two halves make a whole. This circle, we can see that I have halved the circle exactly down the middle. And if I had two halves again, let's see if I can flip this. If I had two halves, two of my halves make a whole. Okay? This rectangle here, though, you should have identified that it does not have half shaded. And we know that because inside of this rectangle there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. And if I had halved this shape exactly, then my line would have been here, because I would then have two halves that when added together would make a whole. There's my two halves making my whole rectangle. So we're going to move on a little bit today, and we're going to start to look at finding half of a set of objects. Now, we've just talked about finding a half means finding one of two equal parts, sharing something into two equal parts. And if you put the two halves together like we did with those shapes, you get one whole, and we can see that in this diagram here. And sometimes we have to find half of a set of objects. It might be that you're sharing a packet of sweets with your brother or sister and you both want half. It might be that you've got your little figs out and you're playing with those with your friends and you want to share them in half. So we need to know how to do that. And it just means that you must share the set of objects or the amount into two equal amounts, two equal parts. So let's have a look. So Tom has 10 sweets. Let's double check that he has 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he wants to share the whole amount of sweets. How many sweets does he have? He has 10. Equally with his sister. How many will they get each? So we are finding half of 10 because there is going to be Tom and there's going to be his sister, which means we're going to have two equal groups. Now, to share these sweets into two equal groups, I like to make things really visual, and I'm going to draw my two rectangles to share these sweets out equally. And I'm going to drag my sweets over. So I'm going to go one for you, 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 one for you. Now, we have shared those sweets equally because each time we have done one for Tom, one for his sister. Let's count how many they have each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's check his sister as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They both have the same amount. So half of 10 is 5, and I can check that that is correct because we know if I added my two halves together, it would make this whole. So I would have 5, add 5 makes 10. What I want you to do now is have a go at these two questions. So here are some apples. Can you count how many there are in total first? Then can you work out what half of the apples is? And you can draw, half the apples are, sorry. You can draw two rectangles to share those apples between. Maybe you could even get some objects at home. Maybe you've got enough apples that are there, or maybe you could use something else in place and share them between you and somebody else to find half. So here are your answers. Hopefully you counted 12 apples, and when you shared them in half, shared them into two groups, each person had 6. And here there were 8 apples, and you halved that amount, and each person had 4. Now we're going to move on, and we're looking at that success criteria, that third one down. We're going to be thinking about making sharing into quarters. Now a quarter looks just like this. So 1 quarter, okay, and this bottom number here, the denominator, tells us that we are sharing into 4 equal parts. So when we are sharing in quarters, there are going to be 4 equal parts. So let's have a read of this first question. Here are some apples. Can you count how many there are in total? So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 apples in total. And it says how many apples make a quarter of, well, we know now that there are 12. And we are finding a quarter, which means we are sharing into 4 equal groups. So I'm going to draw 4 rectangles because, like I said before, I like to see it really visually, and then I could use some actual objects to do this. So you could do this at home. So we've got 12 apples to share. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can see I shared them out equally. So let's see what 1 quarter of our 12 is. 1, 2, 3. So if I shared my 12 apples between 4 children, each child would have 3. And I can double check that that's right because I've got 3 here. Add 3, add 3, add 3. So 3, add 3 is 6. 6, add 3 is 9. 9, add 3 is 12. Maybe you can have a go now at this second one. How many apples are there in total? And what is a quarter of that amount? So hopefully your answer looks like this. There are 8 apples in total. So how many apples make a quarter of 8? And in 1 quarter there are 2. I wonder now if you could apply your learning to this problem solving question. Here is a tower made from cubes. It's made from 4 cubes. Which tower is showing double this tower? Explain why using the word half. So maybe you could draw or build a tower of 7 cubes, a tower of 8 cubes, and a tower of 6 cubes. Which of these 3 is showing double this tower? And can you explain why using the word half? Have fun.